In this video, I will show you the most deadliest warriors from every time period in human history. Disclaimer: countless people were harmed, killed, punished, and tortured in the making of this video. A deadly snake wraps itself around the face of a sleeping warrior. His wife sees not a threat, but an omen. Just as the snake has wrapped itself around her lover's face, a great power would soon envelop him, leading either to his glory or his destruction. She could not say which. For now, however, he was only a slave, a man who had once served in the Roman army before he was imprisoned for desertion. His name was Spartacus. His fighting skills caught the eye of Batiatus, the owner of a training camp for gladiators. Life in the camp was hell. Spartacus and the other slaves were beaten, bound, and punished harshly as they were trained to fight to the death for the entertainment of an audience. That is until 73 BCE, when Spartacus and over 70 other slaves made their move. They stole knives and utensils from the kitchens and used them to kill the guards who stood between them and their freedom. On their way out, they found a cart full of gladiator weapons and armed themselves properly. Spartacus knew that the top Roman officials would not look kindly on their escape. Mere slaves causing such a commotion could be extremely embarrassing for an empire as powerful as Rome. And if the slaves were caught, they would surely be tortured and executed. So they went to hide on the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. On the way, they recruited other slaves, deserting soldiers, and starving peasants to join their small army and chose Spartacus to be their leader. Rome was too busy fighting other wars in the Mediterranean to worry much about some unruly escaped slaves, and so they sent a small army to block off the only path up Mount Vesuvius so that no supplies could reach the slaves and they would starve. However, the gladiators climbed down the far side of the mountain using rope ladders made from the forest vines and easily defeated the army at the base in a surprise attack. Rome realized they had underestimated Spartacus, and not for the last time. Most of the free men in Spartacus's army were untrained, but with Spartacus's clever strategies, they were transformed into an effective military force, raiding the Roman countryside and defeating every army that the empire sent to stop them. At this point, Spartacus wanted to lead his band of slaves and peasants, which numbered in the tens of thousands by now, over the Alps and to freedom beyond the clutches of the Roman Empire forever. However, his soldiers were feeling confident. No one had managed to defeat them so far. So what was stopping them from marching on Rome itself and taking the city? Meanwhile, in Rome, the senators were asking each other, what's stopping Spartacus from marching on Rome itself and taking the city? In walks Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in the Roman Empire. Nowadays, his net worth would be roughly $20 billion. And he wanted to claim all of the glory for defeating the largest slave uprising in the history of the ancient world. Crassus used his wealth to pay for equipment and training for new troops and set out to corner Spartacus on the toe of Italy, where he was busy trying and failing to cross the sea to Sicily to regroup. The pirates he had hired to help had betrayed him and sailed away as soon as they were paid, as pirates do. Cornered with nowhere left to run, Spartacus made one last stand, a final battle for all the marbles against Crassus. Legends tell that Spartacus cut his way through hundreds of enemy soldiers as he tried to reach Crassus himself and kill him, but he was stopped when two dead centurions fell on him. He was killed fighting foes from all sides, and his body was never recovered. The Spartan rebellion was finally vanquished. Tens of thousands died in the battle, and thousands more of Spartacus's men who survived were crucified along the Appian Way in a horrifying display of Roman authority and cruelty. While he was defeated in the end, the memory of the great warrior Spartacus is still alive today as the ultimate symbol of freedom and fighting against impossibly oppressive odds. A sentiment more important than ever in today's world. An army of freed slaves fighting a billionaire. Sound familiar? Out of respect for Tlahue physical strength and his unbreakable strength of character, Montezuma agreed. Tlahue was tied to a stone pillar in an arena similar to those used by Roman gladiators. As an audience of nobles looked on, he was forced to fight 8 famous warriors one after the other, still tied to a stone with nothing but his wooden club to defend himself. To everyone's disbelief, Tlahue defeated all of the warriors sent at him until the 9th managed to stun him with a powerful blow to the head. With the great warrior fallen, it was finally time to sacrifice his heart to the gods. He thinks and what you can expect from him. As Sun Tzu once said, "Know thy enemy." Let's get you up to speed on some of Miyamoto's unique fighting strategies. Musashi would arrive extremely late to his duels to make his opponents angry at his disrespect. Remember, this is ancient Japan, so respect and honor were a huge deal to them. Once his opponents were fuming with rage, Musashi would finally show up completely calm and defeat them with his superior precision and cool-headedness. Ambush. The thing about duels is they usually happen at a time and place that both fighters have mutually agreed upon after the challenge is given. Not so with Miyamoto Musashi. As far as he was concerned, the duel began as soon as one party challenged the other, and he would often ambush his enemies, showing up out of nowhere and cutting his opponents down before they could even react. Training. Miyamoto Musashi has trained with and beaten opponents specializing in all kinds of weapons, including spears, long swords, and the kusarigama, which is like a sickle with a chain on the end. And he has often fought and won against multiple opponents at the same time.